I'm sure we all have that one anime we went into just hoping to like it because everyone hated the out of it. You know, you want to flex, be the black sheep, be the special one that gets it, that gets what the show is trying to be, and everyone else is just dumb and has no taste. Feels good, doesn't it? The superiority complex, I mean, yeah, I know it does. You don't need to tell me. Everything I just said sums up my expectations going into Dusk Beyond the End of the World, an anime everyone branded a fraud and catfisher. After 2 episodes, my special one meter was through the roof. I genuinely believed I had found an underrated gem. Little did I know just how far off I was from copper, talk less of a gem. You're probably wondering, what the hell is Dusk Beyond the End of the World? Well, it's a 2025 PA Works original. PA Works at it again. If you watched my last video, you would know I just flamed another one of the originals. Seems they've built themselves a reputation for developing great stories but failing to see them through. If you don't understand, you will by the end of the video. The plot of their latest flop goes like so. A boy named Akira wakes up from cryogenic sleep 200 years into the future and immediately starts searching for a girl named Tuosa. He's accompanied by an android, Yugure, who saved his life, and Amuro, a little girl they met at the start of their journey. Just so you know, that's only a summary. There's a lot going on in this story at any given point in time. The story from there follows them as they travel through a world that's changed technologically and, surprise surprise, culturally as well, which isn't something I'd normally expect from a sci-fi since most of them are more focused on how dystopian their skylines look and how technologically advanced their robots are, and last but certainly not least, how corrupt and 1984 adjacent their dystopian government is. They'll do all that, look you straight in the eye and then call it world building. Dusk Beyond actually thought about what happens to human culture when the world progresses, and nothing exemplifies that more than the LC system, an evolved version of the concept of marriage where any number of people of any gender could all decide to LC, or for better understanding, marry. In all honesty, this genuinely fascinated me. It's my first time ever seeing something like this in a story. For it to actually take its time and think about how cultures evolve over time and then just have it exist in a story without lecturing you about it is just downright amazing. That alone is a level of thoughtfulness most sci-fi stories never even bother with, and it's far from the only thing that caught my eye. The way the characters spoke in the dub had that formal, slightly medieval quality to it that gave the world a distinct texture. I just love listening to Yuguri speak because she had that tongue the most out of all of the characters. Couple that with a trio that's pretty easy to invest in from early on, and you have yourself a pretty damn good start. Before starting this anime, I heard a lot of people say it was difficult to get interested in it early on because it stumbles with side plots until episode 8. By episode 3 though, I genuinely didn't understand that critique. I was already locked in by the second episode. The side quests people criticize are actually necessary for the story. They are needed to build attachment between the audience and the characters before the themes can get properly executed. Come on guys, it's basic storytelling. You gotta care first before anything the story does can actually matter to you. And trust me, this show does a lot of things that matter early on. Let me introduce you to Yuguri, the android character archetype you've never seen before. From what we know, what the standard is for almost, if not all, android characters is that they aspire to be human, to know the meaning of life, love, and happiness. Yuguri is the complete opposite. She leans into being an android and doesn't apologize for what she is. No other instance explains this better than episode 3. So Amuro gets captured after betraying them, and Yuguri decides, as anyone with logical reasoning would, to prioritize their safety and abandon Amuro to escape her captors. Akira, being the goody two-shoes he is, flames her for this and says she wouldn't understand because she's an android. Yuguri eventually decides to rescue Amuro only because Akira went after her. Akira's safety is her #1 priority. And after the incident gets resolved, she doesn't back down. She tells him the equivalent of, yes, I am an android and that is not going to change. Yuguri has her own sense of self that needs no one's validation. This is honestly my first time seeing an android written this way. Not trying to reach for humanity, but rather just existing in her own nature comfortably. Now, the LC system deserves its own moment because it's actually so flipping brilliant, and the show doesn't even try to shove its uniqueness in your face. Like I said earlier, in this evolved version of marriage, you can love 3 people and all 4 of you can LC. In this world, that's normal. In fact, it's standard. It's even stranger to find monogamous couples than polygamous ones. Nevertheless, people can be monogamous if they want to. For example, both Akira and Yuguri are personally committed to that conventional style, and it's because of their commitment that any tension whatsoever even exists in their little love triangle. The show used the contrast between the worlds to expand the concept of love and these 2 characters' personal convictions to generate something interesting. I'm actually impressed they managed to keep that romantic tension going for as long as they did. Amuro. There's a single moment that just tells you all you need to know about her and the trio's dynamic. I'm sorry I can't remember the episode, but there's a hot spring scene somewhere in the show where both Akira and Yugure are flustered and blushing, very much aware of the situation. Meanwhile, Amuro is just innocently confused at their behavior as she's more excited about all three of them going to spend time together. As the story goes on, she starts noticing their interactions. She starts to notice Akira and Yugure getting closer romantically, and it hurts her, yes, but most of all, it makes her feel left out. She understands that if these two end up together, there's no space for her anymore. Stakes. That is what we call stakes. Take notes, enjoy next season 2. This kid's arc had real emotional weight to it, and it's really disappointing that the show just wasted it like it did to everything else. And then episode 9, the Akira reveal. I need you to understand, I did not see this coming, not for a single second. Akira is an android, and he's lived his entire life believing he was human. Can you imagine what that piece of info means to him? Every memory, every emotion, his very reason for searching for Towa, none of it was his. It was all programmed. He was acting as he was designed to. I probably don't need to tell you how much psychological weight that gives his character. Him having to reckon with the fact that nothing he ever thought, felt, or even said was truly his own should tell you all you need to know. Okay, that was the show's highest peak, and then it just gets really, really bad from there. Now, before I get to the main argument, I want to flag some things that weren't working even within the good parts. The Lontano arc was a 2-episode story about a brother and a sister related by blood who are romantically interested in each other while simultaneously competing to take over their mafia family. Remember the LC system? Yeah, even with that in place, LCing between siblings is still frowned upon, as it should, by the way. That tension, the taboo love between blood, the succession battle, plus their dad being against any romantic development between them had real potential for something deeply moving and bittersweet. But if you've logically thought about it, 2 episodes would never be enough to flesh all that out. There's about 2 other instances that foreshadow the show's impending failure, or just speedrun them. In the show, there's a librarian who's a one-off antagonist. From her speech and behavior, we are literally told and shown that she loves and is obsessed with books. But when she catches Amuro and Akira in her circuit book bank, she actively destroys them in attempts to catch the duo. That was interesting to see. It was an interesting internal contradiction. You might be thinking, oh, maybe she has an unhealthy, toxic, and maybe destructive affection for books. But I don't even know whether you'd be right or wrong, because we're not even given any concrete answers. There was no backstory, no character exploration, nothing. They just teased us a piece of a beautifully crafted cake, but never even let us taste it. The other instance takes place on a train. Akira and the gang meet the couple, and a few minutes after chatting with the man, he asks them to help him fix his marriage. Yeah. So this show is somehow trying to tell you it's completely normal for a person to ask not only marital advice, but practical help from a stranger they just met minutes ago. I mean, need I say more? I don't want to spend any more time on this as much as you do. Okay, I want you to listen to this carefully. Look at what was embedded into the story by episode 10. Akira's identity crisis. That alone is a full season's worth of material. A human-android love story between Amuro and Akira. From here on now, some stuff I either didn't mention or were in the prologue episode. Towasa's guilt for her role in humanity's downfall. This one was the biggest waste of a character I've ever seen in my life. The AI war that caused humanity's downfall. Amuro waiting 7 years for Akira and Yugure to wake up from some type of coma adjacent sleep the show doesn't even bother to explain. The personality merger between Amuro and another android, Yoyomi, which of course the show did not even bother explaining. Amuro dying and then coming back to life. I mean, how much BS did you guys need to pull the rug on yourself? Anyway, so PA Works wanted to fit all that into 12 episodes. They spent the first 8 building attachment to the cast, which I admit was the right call, but then used their incredible levels of IQ to determine that 4 episodes would be enough to wrap everything up I previously mentioned. Nice one, PA Works. You simply cannot do that in 4 episodes. I say this with full confidence, it is an impossibility. The story needed minimum 24 episodes, 2 seasons, and it might have ended up one of the best anime to come out in the last 3 years. If they had managed to hit even 60% of the story's potential, it would have been something special, maybe even a true underrated gem. Okay, PA Works, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. So here's a closing remark for future reference. Ambition is as much a blessing as it is a curse. something that can make you reach for the stars while simultaneously eating away at your very soul. I'm sure His Majesty Kaiser Reinhardt would be willing to give you a lesson in what ambition does to a man. It's obvious Dusk Beyond had as much, if not greater, ambition than the Kaiser, but the difference between it and His Majesty is how much worth their ambitions were to their respective selves. Kaiser Reinhardt von Lohengrin achieved his goal at the expense of everything his ambition took from him. Dusk Beyond, however, was so preoccupied with being great that he forgot to ever be normal.